Can you talk about how innovative interchange is and facilitates that learning? Will you? Anyway.
Well, I think at one level you could say innovative interchange equals learning. But here's how it's different. It is theoretically possible, and we've talked about it a lot, you can learn things that aren't in your best interest. Innovative interchange is always moving you in the direction of learning that which will allow you to activate more of your potential to become more fully who you are. In other words, we have learned some things growing up that cause me not to trust my potential or not to try something different. That learning worked against me. Innovative interchange is about the kind of learning that transforms me towards my higher potential self or my greater capacity to be alive. My ability to take in more and create more, and to operate in an environment of, if you will, emotional and mental abundance. But people who live in a life of emotional and mental scarcity cling to what little they have lest they lose it. And the issue is, let go of it. There is so much more yet to be. And so innovative interchange moves you in that direction. It says, by myself, I can learn a lot of things and see new things, but if I can be with other people and start interacting with them, if I can appreciatively understand their view, their perspective, their frame of reference, and if I could look through your lenses, or your eyeballs, so to speak, I'll see something I cannot see just using my eyeballs. Together, we see more than either one of us can see by ourselves. Conversely, together we can learn more than either one of us could learn by ourselves. And so innovative interchange is that kind of learning, that kind of interacting. And the more we're honest and show our unique perspectives, the greater the probability then I'll see things I wouldn't have seen before. And the more you change, like, well, Heather says this or that, or Andy says this or that, and puts you in a box, that's where you were yesterday. Little did I know that while driving home, you've had whole new ideas that occurred to you, and the Andy or the Frank I meet today is not the one of yesterday unless I box them that way. I've got a chance to discover them new every day, and they've got a chance to discover me new every day, and we can learn from each other in an endless chain. How many husbands and wives live these lives of silent desperation where they have this feeling of it's the same old, same old. You've seen one, you've seen them all, and here goes we're caught in these habits, and you can always expect, so-and-so to do this. And when we've got an alternative, it's to wake up and never know for sure who's with you. It's like, I mean that in the good sense. I knew that was my wife last night, but who is she today? Who really is she today? What insights have occurred to her that I wasn't privy of because it happened inside her head? So it's an endless way that one can keep on learning. So you interact, appreciatively understand yourself and others, and then take that uniqueness that you get and allow it to be integrated in new kinds of pathways. And the good news from neuroscience is now that the brain's plasticity doesn't die at childhood. If we're ready, we can still groove new places in our networks of our brains and literally remake a brain. And as you're remaking a brain, guess who's living there? It's not the same person that lived in the old one. You have flown to new heights. One of the characteristics of the eagle that's different from the chicken was pretty predictable, filled with a lot of habits. One of the predictabilities about the eagle is part of its unpredictability about what it will learn new today that it didn't know yesterday. The big element, though, that's often missing for people in learning that they don't like is that it takes repetition to learn. As I love to say, because I got this from a friend back in Pittsburgh years ago, if you're willing to pay the price, you can keep the change. But if you won't pay the price, then the change won't occur, because just having a great idea doesn't turn it into a new behavior and a new way of living. Just because I know I'm supposed to do this or that doesn't mean I'll do it. And so, and another guy who I dearly loved used to say, well, are you willing to go through trees and parked cars to make it a reality? In other words, it's not going to be easy per se, but the payoff is worth it. The payoff is worth it. So if you're willing to interact with openness and honesty and integrity, willing to appreciate and understand your neighbor, willing to work with your neighbor to make connections that can only happen because it's you and that neighbor, and then you're willing to really act and live into that, you'll never be the same. The only thing that'll be the same about you is that Heather is never the same. And that's what's so boring about her. She's never the same. As opposed to, well, you can predict Heather. She's familiar and unfamiliar simultaneously. I know she inhabits the same biological body, but the mind is constantly growing, constantly learning, constantly changing.